Hi, that was just a bit of a demonstration of the amount of vapour that you can get using the screwdriver personal vaporising device with a Titan atomizer. You can't tell too easily from a video review, or from a video rather, the amount of vapour that you get from electronic cigarettes, in my view. Some do very well, like I Get Your 69. Scott does extremely well when he's making his videos, but I'm not so good. But hopefully you saw quite a lot of vapour coming out onto the surface there that I was blowing, and that was coming from this 510 atomizer, which is attached to the screwdriver, as you can see, using this, which is a converter, and it's a converter that I made myself. And I just thought I'd just quickly show it to you. You can buy ready-made converters off the net. You don't need to make your own. It's just that I thought I'd have a go at making my own, as simple as that. Now, unfortunately, I've only made the one, and the process of going through it is such that I'm sort of not really able to show you the component parts, because it's all together now. But what I'll do is try and talk you through it. Now, the screwdriver comes with a 901, or certainly my screwdriver comes with a 901 connection, but I wanted to use my Titan atomizers because that's my preferred choice. So I found that the battery on a Super e-cigarette has the same thread as the connector on the screwdriver. So if I took this battery and I can fit it onto the screwdriver, no problem at all. However, if I was to press that button now, that should light up, because it should think it's receiving a charge, but it isn't. And the reason it isn't is that the depth of that connector for the screwdriver is quite shallow, whereas on the at the end of the Super it's quite deep, which means that the central or positive connector in the middle there we go, is not making contact with the positive connection on the screwdriver. Quite simply, I cut it down along the edge there, like that, and then I cut right through round about there on a Super battery, which was dead, by the way. I wasn't cutting up good batteries, that would be silly. It was a dead Super, so I always keep parts that fail, because you never know when they're going to be useful. And so I just cut it down. As you can probably see on the little converter I made, that is the same end as that, but I have just shaved a couple of millimeters off, and that's enough to make it screw in to the screwdriver like that, and it makes a connection. Now, for the other end, I needed another battery from a Titan, like this battery. Again, I had a dead Titan battery, so let's just take this off the atomizer. This is a good battery, obviously, and again, similarly, I cut it round about there, and then what I did have to do in both cases was I had to then hacksaw through the length of the part that I'd cut off, so I could peel away the outer metal casing of the battery itself, or the battery housing itself, so I could just pull out the connector, which is the bit I want. So what you would then end up with is the one end of a battery for a Super there, and the other end of a battery from a Titan there, and then all you need to do is connect the two together by soldering a couple of wires, one to the positive end of the Super battery connector and the positive end of the Titan battery connector, and the same for the negatives. This metal casing is the rest of the Super battery here, which I took the paint off simply by plugging it into the chuck of a drill, spinning the drill, and with a piece of sandpaper, just holding the sandpaper gently over it, and that just very nicely takes off the paint. So what you have here is the two connectors, one from the Titan battery, one from a super battery, and inside there the two terminals are connected by two wires. The super battery, because the casing is from a super battery, the super battery connector fitted very firmly into there. I just needed to push it in once I'd soldered the two together. And obviously don't forget to thread the wires through the casing before you solder the other connector on. The other end, which is from the Titan battery, is smaller than the casing of, or the circumference of it is smaller than the circumference of the super battery casing, so therefore it was loose, it was falling in and out. Now there's no point in trying to glue it, because unless you've got a glue that can withstand quite high temperatures, the glue's simply going to melt when the atomizer heats up when you use it. So rather crudely, unfortunately, but as you can see right around there, I've got solder, a lot of solder, and that is holding the connector very firmly to the case. Make sure that you roughen the edge of the case up so that the solder has got something to key onto. Took a little while to do. Once I'd done that, it was a little bit messy, so all I did was got a file and just filed the solder down to make it a bit smoother. As I say, not very pretty, but it works. Then you simply screw it onto your atomizer like that, onto the screwdriver rather. Pop your atomizer, in this case obviously one is the Titan, that screws on there very nicely. And then of course after you've done that, then you just get yourself a cartridge and pop it on the end, and you start vaping. It's as simple as that. The one thing that you must do throughout the whole process of manufacturing a converter is get yourself a little continuity tester from an electrical meter or just a light bulb and a battery, just to make sure that the positive terminal is not shorting against the negative, and or vice versa. So test that throughout, particularly after you've done the solder, because bearing in mind you are heating that up, and although it's unlikely, it gets very hot while you're doing all of that, and you want to make sure that you haven't inadvertently melted the solder that's holding the two wires that are travelling inside this case from one end to the other. So that's the little converter that I've knocked together. As I say, I have purchased a commercially manufactured one as well in case this one fails, but I have to say this is really solid. As I say, using parts from a super battery and from a Titan battery. All of this is pretty academic if you don't have one or both of these. So there you go. If you do happen to have a dead super and a dead Titan battery around, and you've got a screwdriver and you'd like to convert it to use your Titan atomizers, well, there's a way of doing it. There's probably better ways of doing it, more sensible ways of doing it, and if there is, leave a comment there and let others know, let me know. But this one worked for me because I happen to have the parts available. So there you go. Apart from anything else, it just makes this guy, which is expensive but really nice, it just makes it that bit more versatile and that bit more enjoyable to use. And as I say, this is a thoroughly enjoyable device to use. It's really was worth the money at the end for me. So there you go. There you have it. Hope you found that interesting, and thanks very much for watching. Speak to you again soon. Cheers.